classmates, welcome to International Microeconomics. Today we will begin to study Section 2 in Chapter 10, the theory of optimal currency area. In this section, we will focus on three questions. First, what's the optimal currency area? Second, simple optimal currency area criteria. Third, other optimal currency area criteria. We will discuss them one by one. First, what's the optimal currency areas? If countries make a decision that best serves their self-interest, that is an optimizing decision. When they form a currency union, then economists use the term optimal currency area, OCA, to refer to the resulting monetary union. How can such a decision be made? A common currency may be more convenient and provide other benefits, but it also has some costs. To decide whether join the currency union serves its economical interest, home must evaluate whether the benefits outweigh the costs. Two familiar ideas can be applied and extended to the currency union decisions. One is market integration and efficiency benefits. Adopting a common currency implies that the two regions will have an exchange rate fixed. Hence, the same market integration criterion we used to discrimination between fixed and floating regions can be applied to the case of an OCA. If there is a greater degree of economical integration between the home region A and the other parts of the common currency zone B, the volume of transactions between the two and the economical benefits of adopting a common currency due to lowered transaction costs and reduced uncertainty will both be larger. The other is economical symmetry and stability costs. When two regions adopt a common currency, each region will lose its monetary autonomy. When two regions adopt a common currency, each region will lose its monetary autonomy, and the monetary authorities who have control of the common currency will decide on a common monetary policy and set a common interest rate for all members. Hence, the similarity criterion we used to discriminate between fixed and floating regions can be applied to the case of an OCA. If a home country and its potential currency union partners are more economically similar or symmetrical, then it is less costly for the home country to join the currency union. Second, simple optimal currency area criteria. We are now in a position to set out a theory of an OCA by considering the benefits of adopting a common currency. The net benefits equal the benefits minus the costs. The two main lessons we have just encountered suggest the following. As market integration rises, the efficiency benefits of a common currency increase. As symmetry rises, the stability cost of a common currency decrease. Summing up, the OCA theory says that if either market integration or symmetry increase, the net benefits of a common currency will rise. If the net benefits are negative, the home country would stay out based on its economical interest. If the net benefits turn positive, the home country would join based on its economical interests. Figure 1 illustrates the OCA theory graphically using the same symmetric integration diagram used in Chapter 9 on fixed and floating exchange rate rates. The horizontal axis measures market integration for the home-foreign pair. The vertical axis measures the symmetry of the shocks experienced by the home-foreign pair. If the home-foreign pair moves up and to the right in the diagram, then the benefits increase, the costs fall, and so the net benefit of a currency union rises. At some point, the pair crosses a threshold, the OCA line, and enters a region in which it will be optimal for them to form a currency union based on their economical interests. Third, are the optimal currency area criteria. Our simple model in Figure 1 illustrates two basic motives for joining the currency union, but there could be many other forces at work. These other considerations can still be examined using the same framework. One is labor market integration. In the analysis so far, the home and foreign countries trade goods and services, but labor is immobile between the two countries. But what if we supposed instead that home and foreign have an integrated labor market, so that labor is free to move between them? What effect will this have on the decision to form a currency union? Labor market integration allows for an alternative adjustment mechanism in the event of asymmetrical shocks. For example, suppose home and foreign initially have equal output and unemployment. Suppose further that a negative shock hits home, but not foreign. If output falls and unemployment rises in home, then labor will start to migrate to foreign, where unemployment is low. If this migration can occur with either, the impact of the negative shock on home will be less painful. Labor market integration allows for an alternative adjustment mechanism in the event of asymmetrical shocks. For example, suppose home and foreign initially have equal output and unemployment. Suppose further than a negative shock hits home, but not foreign. If output falls and unemployment rises in home, then labor will start to migrate to foreign, where unemployment is low. If this migration can occur with ease, the impact of the negative shock on home will be less painful. Furthermore, there will be less need for home to implement an independent monetary policy. Furthermore, there will be less need for home to implement an independent monetary policy response for stabilization purpose. With an excess supply of labors in one region, adjustment can occur through migration. This reasoning suggests that the cost to home of forming a currency union with foreign due to the loss of monetary policy autonomy will be lower when the labor market integration between home and foreign is high. Because labor mobility provides an alternative mechanism through which home can adjust to the shock, all else equal, the possibility of gains of this sort would lower the OCA threshold, as reflected in the shift down of the OCA line from OCA 1 to OCA 2 in Figure 2. countries are more likely to want to form a currency union when their labor markets are more integrated. 2 is fiscal transfers. We have now examined the 2 possible mechanisms through which countries in a currency union can cope with asymmetrical shocks, monetary policy and the labor market, but we have ignored fiscal policy. All else equal, one might argue that a country's fiscal policy is autonomous and largely independent of whether a country is inside or outside a currency union. But there is one important exception. Fiscal policy will not be independent when a currency union is built on top of a federal political structure with fiscal mechanisms that permit interest transfers, a system known as fiscal union. If a region also has a fiscal union, then a third adjustment channel is available. When home suffers a negative shock, the effects of the shock can be cushioned by fiscal transfers from foreign, allowing more expansionary fiscal policy in home than might otherwise be the case. For this argument to be compelling, however, the fiscal transfers must be large enough to make a difference. They must also help overcome some limit on the exercise of home's fiscal policy. That is, the transfers must finance policies that home could not finance in some other way. If these conditions are satisfied, then the presence of fiscal transfers will lower the costs of joining a currency union. All else equal, enhanced fiscal transfers mean a low OCA threshold and a shift down from OCA 1 to OCA 2 in Figure 2. The better are the transfer mechanisms in the fiscal union, the more the countries are likely to want to form a currency union. There is a monetary 3 is monetary policy and nominal anchoring. One important aspect of home joining a currency union is that home's central bank ceases to manage monetary policy. Monetary policy is then carried out by a common central bank, whose politicals and actions may be subject to different designs, objectives, and political oversight. This may or may not be a good thing, depending on whether the overall monetary policy preferences of home's central bank is as good as that of the common central bank. For example, suppose the home suffers from chronic high inflation that results from an inflation bias of home policymakers. In the long run, on average, inflation bias leads to a higher level of expected inflation and actual inflation, but average levels of unemployment and output are unchanged because higher inflation is expected and the inflation has not real effect in the long run. Suppose that the common central bank of the currency union would be a more politically independent central bank that could result political pressure to use expansionary monetary policy for short-term gains. It performs better by delivering low inflation on average and no worse levels of unemployment or output. In this case, joining the currency union improves economic performance for home by giving it a better nominal anchor. In this scenario, loss of monetary autonomy can be a good thing. There is a possibility that this criterion was important for several Eurozone member states that historically have been subject to high inflation, for example, Italy. All else equal, a worsening in the home nominal anchor shifts the OCA line down in Figure 2. For countries with a record of high and available inflation, the OCA threshold will fall. Given the levels of market integration and symmetry, high inflation countries are more likely to want to join the currency union, and the larger are the monetary policy gains of this sort. 4 is political objectives. We turn to non-economical gains and the possibility that countries will join a currency union, even if it makes no pure economical sense for them to do so. For instance, one can imagine that home's political welfare may go up, even if pure economical welfare goes down. How? Suppose a state is in a situation in which forming a currency union has value for political security or other reasons. In recent times, eastward expansions of the EU comes with an assumption that, in the end, accession to the Union will culminate in monetary union. These beliefs, assumptions, and echoes did not rest very much on any of the OCA criteria we have discussed so far. Instead, they were an act of political faith, of a belief in the state's common political future, a statement about destiny. For example, during and after the crisis of 2008, commentators and politicians speaking about states in the Baltics and Eastern Europe argued that these countries were willing to put up with the economical pain of being in the Eurozone during such an event, because they had their eyes on the enduring political and security benefits that they hoped would accrue in their long-run post-Soviet existence. Political benefits can also be represented in Figure 2 by the OCA line shifted down from OCA 1 to OCA 2. In this scenario, for countries between OCA 1 and OCA 2, their economical costs to forming a currency union, but these are outweighed by the political benefits. The political dimensions has played a significant role in EU and Eurozone history. That's all for today. See you next time.